युज्यते नात्र संशयः एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेति तत्त्वतः सो अविकल्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेति तत्त्वतः सो विकल्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः. Let's also repeat shloka number 10.8, which is an important shloka. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha-bhava samanvitah. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha-bhava samanvitah. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha-bhava samanvitah. Anybody would like to try?
एतां विभूतिं योगं च योगेति तत्त्वतः अविकल्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः. अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुद्धभावा समन्वितः.
एतां विभूतिं योगं च यो वेति तत्त्वतः विकल्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः. अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुद्धभावा समन्वितः. एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकल्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः. अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुद्धभावा समन्वितः.
Let's do Mangalacharan, then we'll do the translation and read the Bhagavad. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sarana-Raghunathanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sarana-Radhika Shri Vishakhantitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tata Kanchana Gaurani Vishwamanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manja Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Keshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Let's read the translation of the shlokas. Shloka 10.7. The translation is: one who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. I repeat it again. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. I'll read the translation. 1.8 translation by I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Now you can also repeat after me. This is an important shloka, an important translation as well. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds.
Everything emanates from me.
Everything emanates from me.
The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
I'll also read the purport of 10.7 and then we can start the discussion. It's important that we also come to know about Srila Prabhupada's thoughts on these two shlokas. That's why it's important to read the purport. So 10.7 purport. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows actually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. This factual knowledge can be known from descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them is Brahma, Shiva, and the four great Kumaras and other patriarchs. So there are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born of Supreme Lord Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the original forefather of all forefathers. There are some of the opulences. These are some of the opulences of Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is. For by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in the sincere devotional service. So before starting today's session, I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas who are assembled here so that I can speak something on this topic. So these two shlokas are also very important. The name of the chapter 10 is the opulences. The heading of the chapter 10 is the opulences of the Supreme Lord. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has clearly told why we need to know about the opulences of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Because if we know about the opulences, there is no other, when we know about the opulences of the Supreme Lord, there is no other way but we have to surrender to Him and we have to serve Him. Right? And in that way, we will be fixed in our devotional service as well, loving devotional service. So, and the next 10.8. So basically 10.8, 10.9, 10.10 and 10.11. These are known as Chatur Shloki Gita. So our Acharya, Baldev Vidyabhushan, has said that these 4 shlokas, 10.8 to 10.11, which are also called as Chatur Shloki shlokas, are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The entire Bhagavad Gita, the summary, the essence, is given in this 4 shlokas. So it is also called as Chatur Shloki Gita. And today we will be discussing the first shloka of that, which is 10.8. In the next week's class, we will discuss 10.9 and 10.10 and 11. So 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhu. I am the source of all spiritual and material world. So here Krishna is declaring boldly that he is the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. So everything means each and everything that we can imagine, it all comes from the Lord, Shri Krishna. Then further goes to say, the wise who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So who is a wise person? The wise person is one who knows that Krishna is supreme and engages in his devotional service and worships him with all his heart. So this is the meaning of today's shloka. So very clear cut. So if we read the Gita, Krishna is, this Bhagavad Gita is called as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you see Bhagavad Gita Yatharu, Bhagavad Gita as it is. So Krishna is declaring very boldly that he is the source of all spiritual and material world and everything emanates from him. Now, is there any doubt to anybody that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? There should not be any doubt, because once we read the shloka, there should not be any doubt, and this will be the subject of our discussion today. So in India, especially in India, this is very specifically to India, there is a lot of confusion with regards to who is the Supreme God. So many people also say that ISKCON people will only talk about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Why don't they talk about Shiva and other gods as well? So in this session, we today try to clarify why Krishna is Supreme God. We'll go into the basics, try to define the God in a scientific way, try to approach it scientifically, and then see why Krishna is called as the Supreme God. So basically, what happens here is, if you go and ask a person who is Supreme God, he or she doesn't have an idea who is a God. So they have some conception. So that conception is, most of them are atheists. So they will say God doesn't exist. Okay. So that is one type of people, one category of people. Then there is another category of people who says God exists, but all the names that we have taken, like Brahma, Ganesha, Indra, Shiva, they are all God. They are equal and they are all gods. So that is the second category of people. Then the third category of people is, they will say that there is only one God and that is me. So I am God. There is nobody else who is God. I am the God. Then there is a fourth category of people who will come and say, I am God, you are God, everyone is God. So there is a lot of confusion that is happening. So let us try to clarify this confusion. If you read the shloka, it's very clear. There should not be any confusion at all. But the problem is we don't read the Shastras, and that's why our knowledge is limited. Okay. So how do we go about this? Give me 1 minute. So let's try to define God from a very basic level. So usually this is also a challenge when we go for preaching. It's very difficult to convince people. Very difficult to convince people that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So there are many questions that arises. There are counter questions that people ask. So we'll also try to see if we can get some answers for those counter questions today in this session. So I will be going from a very basic level. So it will be easy for the newcomers also to follow. For the seniors, it will be like a refresher type of session. So, let us answer first, does God exist? So this is a basic question that everybody has. So let's start with the answer question, does God exist? So how do we know that God exists? We can have we can try to give some logical proof or kind of thing. So let's say when I'm thirsty, somebody has arranged some water. When I drink the water, the thirst is gone. So somebody has arranged some water, and that my urge is of drinking water, and I get the water. Right? Similarly, food. I become hungry. So I feel hunger. So somebody has arranged some food, and I eat the food, and my hunger is satisfied. So in Kerala and Karnataka, they say that there are around 3,500 elephants in Kerala and Karnataka alone, and each elephant eats 300 kgs of food every day. So 300 kgs of food into 3,500 elephants. You know, who gives that? Government of Karnataka or government of Kerala? No, it's not given by anyone. It's given by somebody. So somebody satisfies the hunger of all the living beings, right? So then we have other aids to procreate. We want to create families. So for that also somebody has made an arrangement. So we have arrangement for thirst, hunger, and procreation. So let us call this somebody. For example, when I'm saying somebody has arranged, let's call this somebody as let's say a power or a supreme god. Maybe there is somebody higher who is providing all this to us. Now the other example. So someone fulfills our urges, and we can call this person as a god. Okay. Then there is another example similarly in a logical way. Let's say there is a beautiful painting. Okay. So as soon as I see the painting, I also know that there is a painter behind the painting. Right? If the painter is not there, the painting cannot be there. So there is a painter who has created the painting. Right? Similarly, there is a gadget like a phone. So when I see a gadget like a phone, it means that there is some inventor who has created that gadget. The gadget cannot come out on its own, right? So there is an inventor. So there is a painter. Similarly, if we see nice food like nice samosas and kachoris, it cannot come out from the air. There must be a cook who has made those food items, right? So what it implies is whenever there is a creation or whenever there is an invention, right, there is a creator behind it. So there is nothing like, just like how a painter is behind the painting, similarly, whenever there is any creation, there is a creator behind it. So this is the second logical thing that we can assume for now. Then the modern science says that, the question that we have in everybody's mind, it's okay, we can talk about painting, we can talk about gadgets, but who created this universe? So this is the big question that we have, who created this universe? So modern science says that, there is a Big Bang explosion, and that Big Bang explosion caused this universe to get created. So this is what modern science says. Okay. But what we believe is that just like a painter has created a painting, just like an inventor has created a gadget, similarly, this universe has been created by somebody, and we call that somebody as God. So I will just give you an example. So Mumbai airport, in 1 minute, there are, if somebody has gone to Mumbai airport, you should see that in 1 minute, there are 100 flights landing. 100 flights landing in 1 minute at Mumbai airport. So what it means, in the Mumbai airport, in the airport, there is an air traffic controller room. So you see that in Bangalore airport, in all the airports, it will be there. There is an air traffic controller room. So when 100 airplanes land or take off in 1 minute, there is so much high probability that an accident can happen. But to prevent an accident, there is an air traffic control room. Okay. This control room has like around 100 people who are there on duty, who will be controlling the scheduling and controlling the landing and takeoff on the airports. And that happens without any accident. But so to control this, there are 100 people who control this, who are there in the control room, who will control the landing and the takeoff. Similarly, when we see thousands and millions of planets in the universe, in this Brahmand, so similarly, when we see thousands of planets in this universe, which are floating in the air, which are floating in the ether, in the space, it means that there is some content. It's all very perfect. It's all very perfect. Everything is perfectly revolving, perfectly balanced. The gravitational force, everything is working perfect. So what it means is there is some controller who is controlling all these planets in a very, very nice way, right? So this is another logical thing that we can, conclude that just like there are controllers for the airport, for the plane landing, there is a controller who is controlling all the planets, various planets in this universe in a very perfect way. If you see, the sun rises at a very particular time, the sunset happens at a very particular time. Everything is so perfectly designed, and to control all this, there must be somebody who is controlling all this. Otherwise, it doesn't happen on a perfect. It doesn't happen so perfectly. So when the laws are perfect, so basically, wherever there is law, it implies that there is a lawmaker as well. So when everything is working perfectly according to the laws of nature, it means that there is some lawmaker also. So this is some deduction that we can make. So far what we have seen is three things. I will summarize that. Someone fulfills our natural urges. Creation implies the creator, and perfect natural law implies the lawmaker. And we can call this someone creator, lawmaker. We can call it as God. So I will also speak a little bit in Hindi. So far we have analyzed. अभी तक हमने जो डिस्कशन किया उसमें हमने देखा कि हमने बस अपने कॉमन सेंस से ये डिड्यूस किया. ये तो कॉमन सेंस है. कॉमन सेंस से हमने पता लगाया कि भाई कोई हमारा प्यास को बुझाता है, कोई जैसे पेंटिंग को किसी ने क्रिएट किया, वैसे कोई क्रिएटर है जिसने ये सारे ब्रह्मांड को क्रिएट किया है. तो ये कॉमन सेंस है. अगर आजकल तो सब लोग साइंटिफिक बोल रहे हैं, तो साइंटिफिक वे में we'll see how to define the existence of God. And in science, there is nothing. We have to define everything in science. So we'll also try to define God in a scientific manner. So basically, we can define God as one who has four potencies. जिसके पास भी ये चार चीज है, वो उसको हम भगवान कह सकते हैं. One is ultimate source. He should be the ultimate source. Everything should come from him. There cannot be something which is coming from someone else and he is not the originator for it. So God, the first potency of the Lord is that he has to be an ultimate source. Then he has to be a supreme controller. Okay. The third thing is he has to be a supreme proprietor and supreme enjoyer. So this is how it is defined in the. This is how we try to define. I will explain this in detail as well. So God is the ultimate source. Aham sarvasya prabhu. He is the ultimate source of everything, from whom everything comes, but who has no other source. So when we say ultimate source, he is the source of everything, and everything comes from him, and there is no other source. Then we say that maybe such a person is a God. Then supreme controller, the second potency should be supreme controller. So God means the supreme controller of all controllers. Everything is working perfectly under his control, and not a blade of grass moves without his sanction. So just like everything is working perfectly in the airport, just like he's taking care of all the planets in this universe. So similarly, so he can be the supreme controller who controls everything. and God should be the supreme proprietor. So if a person is the proprietor of this entire universe, we can say that he is the God, he or she is the God, right? And since he is the proprietor, so when you are a proprietor of something, you are also the supreme enjoyer. So if I own something, I also enjoy everything related to it. So I will summarize the definition of God. So scientifically, we can say that God is he who is the supreme enjoyer, because he is the supreme proprietor. Everything is absolutely under his control because he is the original source of everything. So we have, so अभी हमने तो definition दे दिया भगवान का, भगवान कौन है हमने definition बना दिया. Definition से क्या होता है, हमको तो आगे बढ़ना है. So how do we know the ultimate source? How do we know who is the supreme proprietor? How do we know who is the supreme controller? So we try to analyze that further. So so basically, if we want to get any knowledge, there are multiple ways to getting the knowledge, but there are three main ways of getting the knowledge. तीन तरीके से हम लोग knowledge पा सकते हैं. एक पहला तरीका है प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण. प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण means if I see I will believe. It should be before me, right? प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण. अगर मैं देखूंगा, ठीक है, मेरा ये लैपटॉप है तो मैं मान लूंगा ये लैपटॉप है, मेरे सामने दिखना चाहिए मुझे, तो उसको मैं मान लूंगा वो प्रूफ है मेरे लिए कि भाई भगवान है. अनुमान प्रमाण. अनुमान प्रमाण means I will do some logical deductions or guesswork. I will make some assumptions. So I will make an assumption and then try to come to a conclusion. So we have Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, and then third one is the Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means getting the knowledge from an authority. Okay, so we will see these three in detail, and then we'll try to find out of these three which is a good process to follow to know about the God. Okay, so Pratyaksh Praman is something like, oh, I see, oh, I can see, therefore I can believe it, right? So we directly we can see, directly we can hear, directly we can smell, and directly we can touch. If there is a samosa, nice smell is coming, I can smell the samosa, I can see the samosa, I can taste the samosa. That's why I say that samosa is there. So I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, and then I believe that samosa is there, right? So this is one. But the problem of Pratyaksha Praman, or this way of getting knowledge, there are we have four defects. So four defects are that our senses are limited. So when we say senses are limited, for example, we can see, our eyes can see only up to 100 meters or maybe 1 kilometer. We cannot see beyond that. Okay, so like that we cannot smell like dogs, how dogs can smell. So our senses are limited, and when we use this imperfect senses to deduce something, we can go wrong. Then the second defect that we have is that we are under illusion. So all of us are under illusion. So there is so much illusion in this world that we come to a wrong conclusion. Then third defect that we have, human beings have, is that we commit mistakes. So nobody is perfect, right? Each and every human being in some or other time in his life has committed mistake. So when we commit mistake, we are imperfect and we cannot, that Pratyaksh Praman does not work. And then fourth, we have a cheating propensity. So I show you something, you can see it Pratyaksh, but then we have cheating propensity. There is something hidden in that or something wrong with that. We have cheating propensity. So these are the four major defects because of which Pratyaksh Praman is not a good way of acquiring knowledge. Then there is the second way of acquiring knowledge, which is known as Anuman Praman. So I'll give you a short example which everyone knows. The story of 6 blind men touching an elephant. So 6 blind men go and there is an elephant. So the 6 blind men will touch different parts of the elephant. Somebody will touch the leg, somebody will touch the trunk, somebody will touch the ear, somebody will touch the tail, and they will reduce their own thing, right? So this is Anuman Praman. So when 6 people go, 9 people go, they will come with their own Anuman, and they will come to 6 different conclusions. So Anuman Praman is also not the right way of acquiring knowledge about the Supreme Person. So 6 different conclusions. Similarly, if we try to use Anuman Praman to know about the Supreme Lord, each and every person will have its own interpretation of Lord. That is what is happening here right now in India. All of us are confused. The third way of getting knowledge is called Shabda Praman. What is Shabda Praman? It's word of authority. Word of authority. Here from an authoritative source. So when these blind people, if they stop speculating and if they hear from a person who has a proper vision, a person with a proper vision can tell all those 6 blind persons that elephant is like this, it has a tail, it has this, all those characteristics. So when a person vision goes and explains about elephant to all the blind people, that is a word of authority. That is the right way of getting the knowledge. So therefore, hearing from proper authority is the best way of understanding truth. So out of the three ways, the Shabda Praman is the word of authority. Now, I'll give you another example. Like if a child wants to know about his father, so the best way to approach is go to the mother and ask, because the mother is the only person who will know about who is his father, right? If you go and ask general market, general public, you will get different answers and different views, right? So another example, I'll ask you a question. So do you believe that Antarctica exists? Do you believe that Antarctica exists? So everyone is saying yes, right? So has anybody gone to Antarctica? Has anybody gone to Antarctica? So if you have not gone to Antarctica, how do you know that Antarctica exists? Right? So you know it because your geography teacher in your school has told you that there is a place called Antarctica. Or maybe you have seen in TV that there is a place called Antarctica. So your geography teacher is an authority. You believed her or him. Because she is an authority. So when your teacher tells that there is a place or continent called Antarctica, you believe it. Similarly, when we hear from an authority, we that is called Shabda Pramana, and that is the best way to acquire knowledge. So what is the test of an authority? So who should we call an authority? Right? Can anybody become an authority? So or can anything become an authority? So there are 3 tests for an authority. Okay. The first test is opinion does not change after the discovery of new facts. So opinion does not change after the discovery of new facts. So we see modern scientists, modern doctors, what they say something about the disease. So sometimes they say in diabetes you should not eat XYZ food. Then after 1 year there is another food which comes in saying that okay, now you can eat that XYZ food. So what it means is the opinion is changing. Something was there was an opinion 1 year back, but that is not valid today. And in future maybe third opinion will come and that is not valid. So test of an authority is that opinion should not change. So whatever is written, whatever the authority tells, it never changes. It was there correct in past, it will be there correct in future. Now, it should have stood the test of the time. So when it should have stood the test of the time. So this is same the example I have given. So like say diabetes is caused by XYZ. It was there in 3 years back, but now it is not there. So whatever we know, the authority, whatever he or she says, should stand the test of the time. It should be valid for 10 years, after 10 years, 100 years, 50 years, whatever. Okay. It has not been proved wrong, never. So whatever the authority tells has never been proved wrong. Okay, so these are the 3 tests of authority. So now we are inquiring about the God. Who is the Supreme God? We have given a scientific definition, but now we need to acquire knowledge about God. And we found that out of the 3 ways, Pratyaksh Praman, Anuman Praman, and Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman, which means the word of the authority, is the right way to approach. So let us see how we can find who is Supreme God by Shabda Praman. So who is the authority to learn about God? Who is the authority to learn about God? So our scriptures, our Shastras, or the Vedas is that authority. So we say that Vedic knowledge is infallible. Vedic knowledge is infallible. In Karnataka, if you see Kannada movies, they say Ved Vakya. Ved Vakya. There will be some dialogue somewhere. So it means that whatever is written in the Vedas is infallible. It is perfect. Infallible means since time immemorial, same words are being repeated, not being changed, not being proved wrong. It has stood the test of the time. So whatever is written in the Vedas, since time immemorial, same words are being repeated, not being changed, not being proved wrong. It has stood the test of the time. That's why we take the Vedas or the scriptures as the Shabda Pramana. So I just give you some example from Vedas. So Vedas long back, they have revealed that Earth is round and it has 7 continents. So, but this was just found that Earth is 500 years before. Europeans used to believe that Earth is an ellipse or something like that. Okay, or a flat. Earth is flat. They never believed that Earth is round. But in Vedas, it's written since time immemorial that Earth is round. Earth is a sphere. In Vedas, it is written that plants have life. And recently, 100 years back or 150 years back, it has been proved by our Indian scientists only that even the plants have life. It has been scientifically proved that plants have life. But in Vedas, it was already written. So, in Vedas, Vedas present accurate predictions of great personalities who will appear in future with great detail and accuracy. So Vedas, we come to know, it already predicts about great personalities who will come in future, right? So those are all predictions there in Vedas which have been correct. It has never been proved wrong. In Vedas, it is stated that cow dung has antiseptic properties, right? So it has been proved scientifically as well. People were not ready to accept, but it has been proved scientifically as well that cow dung has antiseptic properties and many other properties. So it was already there in the Vedas, and that's why Vedas is a authority. I mean, it's the Shabda Pramana. So we have to take the authority of Vedas. And see, this Vedic wisdom, the Vedic scriptures are also called as Aparushya. Aparushya means they have no human author. So, if it is a human, we have all 4 defects which we discussed. So, anything, humans are imperfect, commit mistakes and all. So, anything by a human is bound to have some interpretation or some mistakes. But Vedas are Aparushya. They have no human author. Vedas are directly word of God revealed at the time of creation. So Vedas are word of God directly revealed at the time of creation. So Vedas is nothing but a manual given by the Supreme Lord. At the time of creation, the Supreme Lord has created a manual and written all about the universe and the creation and how the universe functions. All those knowledge are there in the Vedas. And that's why it's also called Aparushya, because the author of it is not human. Okay. So there are 2 ways of acquiring knowledge. Okay. There are 2 processes of acquiring knowledge. One is called the ascending process, the other is called the descending process. So in the ascending process, what happens? These are what all the scientist people do. They try to find out everything by experimentation, by their own knowledge. So for finding simple things, they will take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years like that. For example, if you want to find out ascending process of whether Antarctica exists or not, you'll have to first maybe go to Antarctica, which is such a struggle. Go to Antarctica, and if you survive, manage to go there and survive, you'll have to survey and then you'll have to come back. So it will take maybe 5 to 6 years to complete all these things and confirm that Antarctica is there. But when your geography teacher tells you, or if somebody who has gone there to Antarctica tells you that Antarctica is there, you just come, you can save those 5 years of research, and you can come to the conclusion that Antarctica is there. So ascending process is a troublesome process. So what we follow in Vedic principles is the descending process. We get knowledge in a descending way. So we have the Vedas, then we have our acharyas who have studied those Vedas, and then they pass on the knowledge the Vedas to us, and that is why that is the process. That is the process in which we have to understand the Vedic knowledge. Okay. So now we have come to a conclusion that okay, in order to find out who is God, we use Pramana, which is a test of authority, and Vedas are those authority. Now there are so many Vedic literatures, right? How do we know? There are so many Vedic literatures, and all of the Vedic literatures are written in Sanskrit. Does anybody know Sanskrit here? Is anybody expert in Sanskrit here? Nobody is expert. So now what do we do? So all the Vedic literatures, all the information about the Lord is there in Sanskrit in Vedas. But none of us knows Sanskrit. So what do we do? And there are so many Vedic literatures, right? So we again have to follow the recommendations of Acharyas. So who is the Acharya? Let's talk about Shankaracharya. What is his recommendation? So Shankaracharya in Gita Mahatmya, he says, text 3, Maline Mochanam Punsam, Jala Snanam Dine Dine, Sakrit Gitamritam Snanam, Samsara Malanashanam. One may cleanse himself daily by taking bath in water, but if one takes bath even in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is vanquished. So Shankaracharya is recommending Bhagavad Gita. Okay, there is another shloka. Same Adi Shankaracharya, Gita Mahatmya, Ekam Shastram Devki Putram Gitam, Eko Deva Devki Putra Eva, Eko Mantra Tasya Namani Yani, Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So Ekam Shastram Devki Putram Gita. Shankaracharya recommending again in another shloka. Only you can, it's okay to read only one Shastra. We are in Kali Yuga. Our minds are, I mean, we are fluctuating. Our mind is fluctuating so much. We don't know Sanskrit. So there are so many Vedas. If we start reading all the Vedic literature, the entire lifetime is not enough for us to understand all the Vedic literature. So Shankaracharya understands all this and he is recommending to study Bhagavad Gita. So what is the scriptures for Kali Yuga? There are two main scriptures that we can study for Kali Yuga, and we can take them as the Shabda Pramana. We can take them as the Shabda Pramana. The first scripture is Bhagavad Gita. The second scripture is Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are the two main, and once we complete these two, there is a third one which is called Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these are the three scriptures which are recommended to us in the Kali Yuga. So let us study. As we are studying Bhagavad Gita, let's try to see about the who is God from the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so we'll try. We have a definition of God. God is He who is the supreme enjoyer, because He is the supreme proprietor. Everything is absolutely under His control. He is the original source of everything. And now we'll try to see who is the supreme God. So today's shloka 10.8. So so basically we need to find who is the original source. So Bhagavad Gita 10.8 says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. I am the source of all the spiritual and material world. Right? So one of our questions is answered. We now know who is the original source of everything. So here very clear, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Everything emanates from me. I am the source of everything. Everything emanates from me. So we get an answer for our original source. Krishna is the original source, very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, no doubt about it. Okay, then again about original source, there is another shloka about original source. Bhagavad Gita 14.4. Sarva yoneshu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yah tasham brahma mahat yoni aham bija pradapitah. Aham bija pradapitah. I am the seed giving father. Aham bija prajapita. I am the seed giving father of everything that is created in this material world. Hence, these two shlokas, simple shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, if we believe in Bhagavad Gita, if we believe in words of the Vedic literature, if we believe in test of authority, so now you have an option, all of you have an option. You can do R&D, analytical study, try to find out who is the Supreme Lord. Or you can take the words of the authority which is given in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita recommended by all the acharyas, right? So Bhagavad Gita very clearly stated who is the original source of everything. Now, in Srimad Bhagavatam, again talking about the original source, Ete Chamsha Kala Puncham Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. So basically, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, the shloka says like that: there are many avatars of Supreme Lord, but out of all these avatars, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is the Bhagwan Swayam, right? And in Bhagavad Gita, if you see Ved Vyasa, so in Bhagavad Gita there are 4 people who is talking or speaking. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. So when Dhritarashtra speaks, they say Dhritarashtra Uvacha. When Arjuna speaks, they say Arjuna Uvacha. Right? So similarly, when Lord Krishna speaks, they don't say Krishna Uvacha. They say Bhagavan Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Ved Vyasa, who has written all the Vedas, addresses Sri Krishna as Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Now there should be no doubt. It's very clear. Ved Vyasa has written all the Vedas. He has written Srimad Bhagavatam. He has written Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata. So everything is addressing Lord Krishna as Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So this is another confirmation that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Now we talked about the original source. Now we talk about the Supreme Controller. So let's see who is the shlokas in Bhagavad Gita which says who is the Supreme Controller. So Bhagavad Gita 7.7. So there is going to be a lot of shlokas. I will read very quickly. Matta parantaram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani gana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth behind me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So everything rests upon the Supreme Lord as pearls are rest upon a thread. Just like in a necklace, there is a thread, and all the pearls are resting on this necklace. If all the pearls are resting on this thread, if this thread is not there, all the pearls will fall away. Just like that, everything is resting upon Krishna. Right? If Krishna is not there, this means that Krishna is the controller. So here is the shloka which says Krishna is the controller. Another shloka, Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate cha characharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagat rupari vartate. So here Maya adhyakshena prakriti. So everything is under his control. Even the nature. Some people say that everything is controlled by nature. In Bhagavad Gita, it makes it very clear that nature or prakriti, as we call in Hindi, is controlled by the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is a servant of Supreme Lord Krishna. Here it is very clear in this Bhagavad Gita 9.10, Maya Adhyakshana Prakriti. So Krishna is the Supreme Controller. Let's see how Krishna is the Supreme Knower. He has the Supreme Knowledge. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, it says that he knows our past, present and future. Bhagavad Gita 7.26. I will not read the shlokas because the time is less. There is something more to cover. So Bhagavad Gita 7.26, it says that Krishna knows our past, present and future. Right? So, and he is the speaker of all the Vedas. Right? He is the creator of all the Vedas. So nobody is more knowledgeable than Krishna. And he is the supreme proprietor. Bhagavad Gita 5.2, Bhuktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Bhuktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Shrutam Sarva Bhutanam Jnanatva Mam Santi Gacchati. So basically, he is the supreme proprietor. So when he has created everything, he is the proprietor of everything. And then he is also a supreme enjoyer. Because he is the proprietor, he is also the supreme enjoyer. Right? So we get all the. So we have defined God, and based on that definition, we try to analyze it from the Vedic literature, specifically Bhagavad Gita. And upon analyzing the definition of God that we had defined earlier, we find that Lord Krishna fits perfectly into our definition. And hence we say that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there should be no doubt that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But still there must be some open questions. Like if Krishna is the Supreme Person, then who is Lord Shiva? Who is Lord Ganesha? Who is Lord Brahma? Who is Durga Devi? So there must be these open questions. In the next 10 minutes, we'll try to address them. But 10 minutes is too less. I will try to address it very briefly. Or basically, let's understand the difference between the Supreme Lord and the demigods. So, let's differentiate between the Supreme Lord Bhagwan and then the Devatas. So, Devatas are different from the Supreme Lord. So, Devatas in English we call it them as demigods. So, Devatas like Brahma. So basically, Brahma comes out from the navel from the navel of Lord Vishnu. There is a lotus comes out, and then Brahma is born. So anybody who is born cannot be a Supreme Lord. Anybody who is born, by definition, he cannot be a Supreme Lord because he is born. Somebody, because of somebody, he has been born, right? So by that analogy, Lord Brahma doesn't fit that bill. And also, Lord Brahma in Brahma Samhita. So Lord Brahma has written a literature called as Brahma Samhita. In Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma has very clearly said, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He accepts Ishvara Parama Krishna. Like he accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same Brahma Samhita, he repeats multiple times, Govinda Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. He repeats in each and every verse, he ends with Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. I worship the perennial Lord Govinda. He is repeating this in each and every verse of Brahma Samhita. So Brahma is clearly not the Supreme Lord, and Brahma is a demigod. I mean, so first creator is Lord Krishna, from whom Lord Krishna created Brahma, and from Brahma the secondary creation of this material universe happens. Okay, so Brahma is the secondary creator of this entire material universe. Now coming to Lord Ganesha. So Ganesha is again born. So by that logic, he cannot be, he is born, he cannot be the Supreme Lord. He is a Devata. So he has been given powers, he has been empowered by the Lord to remove all obstacles, right? He has been empowered by the Lord. Again, in Brahma Samhita, there is a shloka which says Ganesha gets all the power from Lord Shri Krishna. And this Brahma Samhita is written by Brahma. So in that, it's written that Ganesha gets all the powers by the Supreme Lord. He has the blessings of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord's feet are on the head of the Ganesha, through which he gets powers to remove all the obstacles. So Ganesha is not the Supreme Lord. Now coming to Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is a unique personality. So there is a Vishnu Tattva. So the Supreme Lord is called as the Vishnu Tattva, and we are the Jiva Tattva, Jivatma. But Lord Shiva is a third Tattva, which is the Shiva Tattva. He is neither Jiva Tattva nor the Vishnu Tattva. He is in between, which is the Shiva Tattva. So again, Lord Shiva is born out of Brahma, and he has a unique position, which is higher than Brahma, but he is still not a Supreme Lord. So there are various questions which can be answered. So there are various questions. When we go for preaching, you will get questions like, in Shiv Puran, it's written that Lord Shiva is the Supreme Person. So why we should not take that? Somebody may ask you some question like that. So there are various other Purans. There is a Linga Puran which says that Lord Shiva is the Supreme Person. So there is a story in Linga Puran where Lord Shiva expanded, the Linga of Lord Shiva expanded expanded, and then Brahma and Vishnu couldn't find the start and end of it. That's why they think that okay, Lord Shiva is the Supreme Person. But those are questions. There are valid answers to that. In the short time, I cannot say, but what I will do is I will recommend this book. Who is Supreme? There is a book called Who is Supreme. This book is written by Gopal Chandra Dasa. He is from ISKCON Salem. Gopal Chandra Dasa, ISKCON Salem. So who is Supreme? So if this book will cost you some around 40 or 50 rupees. but it will answer all these open questions that we have. And this is good to clear our doubts so that our faith in Krishna becomes stronger. And when we go and preach, when we get this type of questions, all these questions are answered in this book. So I would highly recommend to all the devotees to kind of take this book and read it. So Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva says to Parvati in Padma Puran. There is a shloka which I don't remember, but he says that I get all my powers from Lord Vishnu. Plus, Lord Shiva always chants the name of Lord Rama. It's written in Vishnu Puran. Again, there is a shloka which for the sake of time, I'll skip that. And then there are some questions like if Lord Krishna is supreme, then why did Lord Rama in Rameshwaram go and worship Lord Shiva? So people get confused when Lord Ram worships Shiva at Rameshwaram. So they say that okay, when Lord Rama is worshipping Shiva in Rameshwaram, maybe Lord Shiva is supreme, Lord Rama is not supreme. So that is also answered in this. For the sake of time, I'm skipping that, but that is also answered in this. So Lord Shiva is a very special tattva, and he's also a very special Vaishnava. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that Vaishnavanam Yathas Shambho. So he's the best among Vaishnavas. Lord Shiva is best among Vaishnavas. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 12 Mahajans described, and Lord Shiva is one of the 12 Mahajans. So he's a very great Vaishnava, always chanting the names of the Lord. Okay, then comes Durga Devi. So Durga Devi is Prakriti, Mahamaya. And we just saw one shloka where they say that the Prakriti is a servant of Krishna. So Durga Devi is also not the supreme Lord. So there are various other like Indra, Varuna, Agni. So they are all demigods. So there is a Devata category which are empowered by the Supreme Lord to carry on the administrative activities of this universe. So just like we have a prime minister and different ministers, minister for agriculture, minister for science, minister for railways, like that, there are different administrative devatas. Devatas have been empowered for different administrative purposes. Okay, but they have been empowered. They are not supreme. But so there is one common question. Then what do we do? Should we worship the devatas or should we not worship the devatas? Should we worship the devatas? Should we worship Ganesha, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi? Should we worship Kartikeyan, Ayappa, Dattatreya? So should we worship or should we not worship? So basically the answer is given in Bhagavad Gita itself. There is one shloka which very clearly says that people of less intelligence worship the demigods, but people who are wise worship me. So we have to worship Lord Krishna. We have to worship only Lord Krishna. There is a shloka given in Srimad Bhagavatam that Narada Muni says, just like how you water, when you water the root of a tree or a plant, all the branches and the leaves, everything gets nourished. Similarly, when you worship Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord, all the demigods are themselves satisfied. So when Hanuman is chanting the name of Rama, we can directly chant the name of Rama. Hanuman will be very happy. So we have seen people that they are Hanuman bhakts. They go to Hanuman and they read Hanuman Chalisa and all. But Hanuman himself is reading chanting the names of the Lord. So why not directly chant the names of the Supreme Lord? So it is recommended in Bhagavad Gita that we chant the names of we worship only the Supreme Lord and we do not worship the demigods. So what should we do? So this doesn't mean that we also disrespect the demigods. So we should never disrespect any demigod. So Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. So when we go to Lord Shiva's temple, our mood should be like this: that, oh Lord Shiva, please help me to progress. Please help me to serve Lord Sri Krishna better. Please help me to progress in my spiritual path so that I can serve my Guru and Lord Krishna in a better way. So this attitude and with this mood, we should pray to the demigods. We should never disrespect any demigod. So hope in this 1 hour session, I was able to, kind of give you some points and try to come to an answer that who is the whether God exists, who is the supreme person, who is God. Hope you will find this session useful. With that, I'd like to stop. But if you have any questions, you can ask me. So, Prabhuji is asking me to summarize in Hindi. I'll take 5 minutes to summarize. So, हम लोग देखा जाता है कि आजकल इंडिया में बहुत कंफ्यूजन है. कोई लोग कहते हैं कि भगवान ही नहीं है, कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं भगवान हूँ, कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि हम सब भगवान हैं, आप भगवान हैं, ये भगवान है, मैं भगवान हूँ. कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि ये सारे देवता लोग भगवान समान हैं और सारे लोग भगवान हैं. तो बहुत सारे कंफ्यूजन है और हमको ये पता करना है कि भगवान कौन है. भगवान यानी जो सब कुछ कंट्रोल करता है, वो एक ही हो सकता है, बहुत सारे नहीं हो सकते. तो मैं अभी कह रहा था कि देवता और भगवान के बीच में क्या अंतर है. तो देवता लोग, तो भगवान तो एक ही है, जिससे भगवान की शक्ति, भगवान से देवता लोगों को भगवान से शक्ति मिलती है और वो लोग ये सारे ब्रह्मांड का कार्यकाज भी लग जाते हैं. भगवद गीता में कहा गया है, जैसे कि ये श्लोक जो आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं, अहम सर्वस्य प्रभो मत्ता सर्वम प्रवर्तते. ये सारे सृष्टि, जो भौतिक जगत है और जो आध्यात्मिक जगत है, वो सारे सृष्टि का निर्माता, सारे सृष्टि निर्माता जो भी है, मैं हूँ. भगवान श्री कृष्ण कहते हैं सब कुछ मेरे से उत्पन्न होता है. तो इससे हमें साफ पता चल जाता है कि जो भगवान है वो भगवान श्री कृष्ण है और कोई भी नहीं. वेद व्यास जी जिन्होंने ये सारे वेदास लिखे हैं, भगवान श्री कृष्ण को भगवद गीता में श्री भगवान उवाचा करके मेंशन करते हैं, कृष्ण उवाचा करके नहीं बोलते. इससे भी पता चल जाता है कि कृष्ण भगवान. और कृष्ण भगवद गीता में एक श्लोक है, जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम एवं यो वेति तत्वतः. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम, मेरे जन्म और कर्म दिव्य है. इसे जो समझेगा वो इस धरती पे, इस भौतिक जगत में पुनर्जन्म नहीं लेगा, वो आध्यात्मिक लोक में चला जाएगा, वैकुंठ धाम में चला जाएगा. तो भगवान के जन्म और कर्म दिव्य है. और ये आप भगवद गीता पढ़ेंगे तो इसमें ये पूर्ण तरह से क्लियर हो जाएगा आपको कि ये जो कंफ्यूजन है वो पूरी तरह से क्लियर हो जाएगा कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण ही भगवान है, बाकी सब लोग देवता हैं. कुछ लोग शिव जी को भगवान मानते हैं. तो शास्त्रों में कहा गया है और शिव जी ने खुद कहा है कि मैं भगवान नहीं हूँ, मैं तो भगवान का नाम जप करता हूँ, भगवान तो श्री कृष्ण ही है करके बहुत सारे श्लोका में कहा गया है. कभी कभी क्या होता है कि वेदव्यास जी ने शिव पुराण, लिंग पुराण में कहा है कि शिव जी भगवान है, मगर बाकी शास्त्र जैसे है भगवद गीता, श्रीमद् भागवतम, विष्णु पुराण, पद्म पुराण में कहा, शिव जी खुद कहते हैं उसमें कि मैं भगवान नहीं हूँ, विष्णु जी भगवान है, वही मुक्ति दे सकते हैं. और बहुत सारे उदाहरण हैं, जैसे मोहिनी अवतार के टाइम पे शिव जी विचलित हो गए थे. शिव जी को धीर कहा जाता है. शिव जी को क्या कहा जाता है? धीर. उनके सेंसेस जो है विचलित नहीं होते, मगर मोहिनी अवतार के टाइम पे वो भी विचलित हो गए थे, भ्रम में आ गए थे, तो वो भगवान नहीं हो सकते. और ये इंग्लिश में भी मैं कहूंगा, वन इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, व्हेनेवर इन द पुराणास देयर कैन बी सम कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन. सम पुराणास कैन से that Lord Shiva is the supreme person, while some Puranas will say Lord Vishnu is the supreme person. So in that case, it is said by the Acharyas that the Puranas, the Vishnu Tattva Puranas or the Sattvic Puranas override the Tamasic Puranas, the other Puranas. So we should take the purports of the Sattvic Purana and not take the purport of the Tamasic or Rajasic Purana in case there is a contradiction. So that is stated in that is the guidance given by the Acharyas. तो हमारे आचार्य लोगों ने ये कहा है कि अगर कोई कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन होता है। विष्णु जैसे शिव पुराण में शिव को सुप्रीम कहा हो सकता है एक दो श्लोक में, और विष्णु और पद्म पुराण में और श्रीमद् भागवतम में तो वेरी क्लियरली कहा गया है कि भाई कृष्णा ही सुप्रीम पर्सन है। तो आप प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं कि शिव पुराण में वो श्लोका में शिव जी को कुछ लोग पूछते हैं शिव पुराण में ये श्लोका में तो शिव जी लिखा है, आप बोलते हैं कि विष्णु है करके, तो ऐसे कैसे है? तो हमारे आचार्यों ने कहा क्या कहा है, ये जो पुराण है उसको भी हम तीन उसमें बांटते हैं। तामसिक पुराण, एक सेट ऑफ पुराण जिसको तामसिक पुराण बोलते हैं, राजसिक पुराण और सात्विक पुराण। तो हमारे आचार्य कहते हैं कि जो सात्विक पुराण में जो लिखा है वो उसको आप मीनिंग लीजिए, जो निचले पुराण में लिखा है जैसे राजसिक और तामसिक पुराण, उसको उसका मीनिंग मत लीजिए। तो इससे बहुत ही साफ हो जाता है, ये कंफ्यूजन कोई है नहीं, इसमें सारा क्लियर है कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण ही सुप्रीम पर्सन है। अगर आपको कोई प्रश्न है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं। कोई प्रश्न नहीं है तो ये एंड दिस क्लास फॉर टुडे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for taking the complex topic, the difference between demigods and Supreme Lord, and you have given a lot of examples. Hopefully, devotees have taken the notes. So let's all thank His Grace Giridhar Gopal Prabhu for his wonderful class by prayers and chanting and Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. So any newcomers from the so you are our guest over Jagannath and Radharani. So we welcome you on behalf of them. So, thank you all for coming. We all will give you on behalf of Jagannath Joshi, your guest of Radharani. We'll all chant for your spiritual program. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome you. Kindly give your contact number to Giridhar Gopal Sir. We will take your contact and we'll add to our group WhatsApp. Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir. So today's Prasadam sponsor of Brother Shantamai and Giridhar, who left us recently, who left our body recently, and Prabhu is praying Vaishnavas to pray for our spiritual journey by chanting mantra. Let's all pray by chanting mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. She had recently taken initiation from the journey, and also she used to chant Vaishnava mantra. She used to come here. We will not miss her, but we will definitely pray. So we all request Vaishnavas to keep her in our prayers. Hare Krishna. So 11th Saturday, Ekadashi, Pandava Mishra Ekadashi. The fast waking time is next day Sunday 5:53 to 10:11 a.m. So in the Ekadashi, I think most of you know what we do on Ekadashi. Generally, we eat non-grain prasadam. We won't touch grains, and especially in the Pandava Mishra Ekadashi, we fast even from water. But who cannot follow that, they can at least take non-grains. We should not touch grains, pulses, and the many items we generally Ekadashi items. We should eat only Ekadashi. We should not eat grains and pulses. Okay. So the next fast taking time is 5:53 to 10:11 a.m. Sunday 5:53 to 10:11 a.m. Okay. So on the 12th Sunday, we have which festival? Panyati festival. Panyati festival Mahamahotsav ki jai. So that day we will not have program. So next Sunday we will not have program here. So I request everyone to come to Panyati. We will have bus from here. So the Yatra charge is 600 for adults, 300 for children less than 10 years old. So we will not have program here. So I request everyone to register your name with me so that we can go to the as a small one-day picnic to Srilanka. Word has not yet given yet. Word, I think everyone has given yet. Mataji? So please give your names. Whoever has proposed yours. Whoever has not given their names, you can give their names. So yeah, so the next important program, Shiksha program. Shiksha program, we all know, right? We try to progress in your spiritual life by chanting, Giridhar. So we have Shiksha program on July 10th. Whoever want to chant 4 rounds, they can take commitments like 1 round, 4 round, 8 round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So the program is on time. So kindly write your papers and so on. So like 12th Sunday we don't have program here. Even 19th Sunday we have program in Palace Ground. Like this one is Giridhar Swami Guru Maharaj is coming. How many of you are coming there? How many of you will come there? So okay, so we'll skip program here and we'll have program there only. So there we'll have and Bhagavatam classes and different programs, different sannyasis will come there. The whole atmosphere will be like a Vaikuntha because pure devotees of the Lord will come there. So I request everyone to come and take association of pure devotees there. So it will be on 19th of June. So we will not have program on that day also. Okay. So I request everyone to have prasadam and leave. Before that, please register your name for final festival. Okay. Yeah. 2 Sundays will not have program. That is 12th Sunday. That is next Sunday. And after that, 19th Sunday we will not have program here because we will have program in the palace ground. Okay. 26 Sunday. 26. So next program will be on the 26th. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Now we have prasadam. Don't waste prasadam, and also don't leave without. Hare Krishna.